Hello, and welcome to Mama Says. I'm your host, Amber Autry, and this week I talked to comedian Georgia Gove and her mom, Amy Gonzalez. Amy is an environmental consultant, which is super cool, and we talk about that a lot. We also talk about Amy's success in business throughout her life, her plans to write a book, and start a bagel business. And trust me, she knows her bagels. We also discuss what it was like moving forward after the disappearance of Georgia's father. And Georgia and Amy share stories about being on the road together and out in the wilderness with Amy's job. They're two amazing people, and it gets really sweet and funny, so I know you're going to love it. So get cozy and enjoy this episode of Mama Says.
Perfect. Look how beautiful you are.
You are
No,
so beautiful.
I did put makeup on.
Me too. I burnt my forehead. I'll lean forward so you can see. I put foundation on for the first time in a long time because I burnt the shit out of my forehead.
Wait, how did you burn your forehead?
I was hanging out with a friend at the lake yesterday.
Oh no.
And I didn't think we would hang out for that long, and so I didn't bring sunscreen with me to reapply.
Girl, come on. Fair-skinned women, we got to be
I know.
sunscreen on.
It was just like, I fucked up.
Uh-oh.
My daughter.
Oh,
cursed.
I'm sorry. You know I curse. Don't act surprised.
So Amy, where do you stay? You're not in Chicago, right?
Yeah, no, I'm in Taos, New Mexico. My husband and I inherited a half of a house and a 2-room apartment. And then there was a 3-room apartment attached to that. So back in the old days, and this has been in the family for over 300 years. And you could tell the house that was here was falling down, and it was, linoleum peeling off of the countertops that used to be dirt floors. Nobody had lived in it for 13 years. But so we bought out Aunt Alice for half the house, and then we bought out Cousin Johnny for the 3-room apartment, tore everything down, and then built this beautiful Adobe style, Pueblo style home. And actually, you can see in the background, there's some paintings there. They were all in the original house. They were painted by my husband's grandmother.
Oh,
and all throughout the house, the architect and the interior design folks were awesome. That, building a house 2,000 miles away is kind of hard, but they put pieces of her artwork everywhere throughout the house. And it really is very special. And, we have some, we're privileged. I have to say, we're privileged.
did you always want to live in Taos?
I knew nothing about New Mexico. I'm a born and bred New Jerseyan, and Jersey girl. My dog's name is Jersey Girl. My phone number is still 609, and my email address is Jersey Gonzo. So everything about me is Jersey, and so my husband. I knew he had a grandmother that had lived here, but had never visited. And then after the grandmother had passed away and had lived with his parents for a while, suddenly we inherit half this house.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, whoa, what are we going to do? And I will tell you one thing is we're building another house again, but it cost a lot of money to build this, and I will have to die in this house.
Okay, but I have to say, as your daughter, knowing that you built a house that you knew you were going to die in, why did you put so many stairs in? It's like step up into the kitchen, step up, like you're even the
How many people have fallen off this step? I think the problem was having a young architect, and the young architect doesn't think about that. And I ran into a friend of mine now out here who was an architect for Walt Disney, and his thing is all about accessibility for home design. Wish I'd had him. I'm gonna have to have one of those little chairs that go up the staircase and down the staircase.
Let me tell you, Amber, when they built this house, me and my sister, so my stepsister Christy, who's Ed, who's my mom's husband, his daughter. But when we looked at the plans for the house, we were just like, there were like 3 bedrooms, I think, was in the original plan, and they all had attached bathrooms, and then there was like 1 half bath in the front room. But I was like, if you have people over, somebody has to walk through a bedroom to shower. Like, why didn't you build
Still like
girl? Yeah, I'm gonna turn that off because it's just not really good. You tell friends that you're gonna be doing something and you think they wouldn't call you, but they call you anyway. Kind of like mothers, right? Anyway, so yeah, and I had some really bad hip issues when we were building this, and I told the architect, I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go up these stairs. But I actually ended up doing this thing called muscle activation technique, and I didn't have to have hip surgery, and now I can run up and down the stairs and run up and I do. I run up and down the stairs. I forget something, I come back down.
She's more energy than I do.
Yeah. Oh, the muscle activation technique.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm kind of a born again muscle activation technique person. But I was training at the gym, and I had already had hip X-rays and everything about, and I really thought I needed hip surgery. And the trainer was being trained in this muscle activation technique. And essentially what it does is, let's say, okay, I'm going to use my hand. Don't look at my fingernails. They're really bad. They're farmers' hands. But, so I have a trigger finger. Well, it may actually be related to a muscle not firing down over here. So he palpates over here to work this muscle in here. So, because it's all connected. And so it's really taking those muscles that you're kind of compensating. Let's say you twisted your ankle 20 years ago and you start compensating. And so as a result of that, your hip will hurt.
Wow.
So it's kind of trying to reset your muscles to get them to work the way they're supposed to. So I had tendonitis in my shoulder from high school. I mean, we're talking many years ago. And he got my shoulder so it doesn't hurt anymore. I mean, I can throw overhand. It's incredible. It's incredible. I mean, there are some things you really need surgery for, but for me, this worked out great.
And is that something you have to keep going to him for, or can you do it at your own home?
There are things you can do at home that are isometrics that will help you build those muscles. And it's, so I'm constantly doing isometrics to strengthen the muscles. But I go see him every other week just to kind of reconfigure, just to stay on top of it. And it's really up to you. In the beginning, you go a lot to get it, so it works. But then he gives you the isometrics, he gives you the exercises, you do those, and then it could be once a month, it could be once every, 6 weeks, just to kind of tune you up again. But I don't know if you know anything about golf, but Bryson DeChambeau is a professional golfer, and he has done this muscle activation technique. So I think it works.
My mom will be so happy to hear about this because her hips are terrible. So
Oh yeah, tell her she can call me. I can talk to her about it.
Oh, perfect.
We'll have a mom date.
Oh, So you mentioned farm. So you have a farm out there? Like, Georgia, did you grow up on the farm, or when did the farm come about?
No, so she has, it's less of a farm, it's more of a ranch and orchard. So like the property that they have in New Mexico is like right on the valley. So in the valley they have an orchard which has like apple trees and cherries and plums and
Pears and mulberries.
Yeah. So
and gooseberries.
Yeah. So
peaches
yeah.
and apricots.
Yeah, I'll get Amber. Next time I see you, I'll bring you some of her jams because I have a plethora of jams that I can. I'm going through them. How much jam can a lady eat? You know, like I don't eat spoons that often. But she is like, so it's the orchard, and then she has like a little ranch area where she has horses. 3.
I have 3 now. At one point I had 5. I was rescuing 2 horses. Had to put 1 down, but so it's a lifelong dream. It's called Hacienda de Sueños, which means house of dreams.
Oh,
because it's her dream house. So, but yeah, she's constantly out. She has 2 dogs, 3 horses, an orchard. She's constantly doing stuff, you know. And now she's starting a bagel business.
Really?
Yeah. Hey, the Jersey girl, you got to have some. They don't have really good bagels out. They don't have, well, they have frozen bagels and the ones that you can get in the supermarket. But so a girlfriend of mine and I were in December just kind of chit-chatting, and she loves to bake. The pandemic caused her to start baking a lot. And I said, this town really needs is bagels. And, I owned a business, and if it hadn't been for this woman who said to me, why don't you start your own business? I never would have done it. And that business became incredibly successful. We became some of the 50 fastest growing women-owned companies in North America. We were named entrepreneurial winning women. We were by Ernst & Young. We were in Inc. magazine. I keep saying I was in the centerfold of a magazine, but we were in Inc. magazine as one of the 500 fastest growing privately owned companies in the US. And so, I mean, it was an incredible ride. And it all started with, why don't you start your own business? Wow. So what I've done now is I've been retired about 5 years, and I just asked this woman, I said, why don't you start your own bagel business? I said, you own it, I'll help invest. And there we go. We started at the farmer's market last Saturday, and we sold out in an hour and 45 minutes.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Oh, that's such a cool story that you were inspired and passed that inspiration on to other women.
Oh no, I think it's great.
What was the first business? What was?
So I'm a geologist and a wetland scientist, and actually that's how I met Georgia's dad, was through wetland science, and we were at a training class. And then I worked as an environmental consultant doing environmental impact statements. And so my girlfriend, she worked for me. She was 17 years younger than I was. And she said, why don't you start doing your own environmental consulting? And so we started with that. Then my husband joined us. He quit his very stable job and with a big oil company, and he's an engineer, and he joined us. So we started doing environmental consulting and construction project management. And then we were doing environmental inspection and then construction inspection. And then, we started, at one point we had 200 people working for us. And when we started the business, it was about 280,000 in revenue the first year. And then when we sold it, it was tracking at 32 million.
That's amazing.
It's an incredible story. It really is. I should write a book about that, but
you should. Georgia mentioned you were writing a book.
Yes. And it's only been how many years since your father went missing?
Almost 15. Can you believe?
Oh my gosh. I can't believe you're not turning 30, are you?
In November.
No.
November, I'll be 30.
No.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
I would like not to believe it also. I would love to be like in November, I am not turning 30. I'm in fact 25,
Oh yeah. I'd like to be turning 30. Yeah, so her father went missing. I had already been divorced from him, and remarried actually. And he went missing in December of 2006. And so then we started searching for him on the island where he went missing down in the Dutch Caribbean. And we spent a lot of time, energy, money working with embassies, working with the State Department, working with the Dutch government, looking for him. And you know, the story will come out in the book, but it was 11 months later when his body was found. And so that's the book I'm writing, is about that journey. And hopefully Georgia will help me, because she's a good writer. She's a very good writer. And I want her to do a chapter or two on her take on what was happening during that time, because she was 15 when that happened. And, you know, as a mom, I was trying to protect her as much as I could. And thank God for the village of people that we had. This can make me cry. But she had a girlfriend. It got a little complicated because her best friend, Grace, her mom was the sister of this woman that my ex-husband was dating. I didn't know that they were dating. Nobody knew that they were dating at the time. They were
dating on and off. They were like in love. It was like they should have just been together, but they kept making it complicated for themselves.
Yeah, life is like that. I mean, relationships are like that. It's like, anyway, so but Grace's mom, Anne, was like Georgia's second mom.
Wow.
Yeah, she still, when she introduces me to people, will say like, this is my niece, you know, like I remain very close, you know, very close to Grace, very close to the Wilbur family. So, you know.
If it hadn't been for them, I don't know what I would have done, because my business required me to travel a lot. And then, of course, going to search for him, you know, I would have to go down there. And it was a very emotional time. I hadn't stopped drinking yet. So I was struggling with untreated alcoholism and all this stress. And then within 2 years, I stopped drinking, because I think that really catapulted me into I'm a single mom now.
Yeah.
And even though I was remarried, Ed, I never forced Ed, and in the same way that he did not force me to be a second mom to Christy. I mean, it was just, you know, he's not a second dad to Georgia, but a supporting role. And there were the whole dynamics about that too.
I bet.
Yeah, she just would watch Georgia, and I knew she was safe. During that time. And there were so many loving people around. And it was just such an emotional time. And I remember when he was found, I went to the high school and had her pulled out of class so I'd tell her that he had been found.
It was during drama club.
Oh,
actually, it was after school. It was during drama club. This is it's not funny, I suppose, but it was like after we did like these in my drama club, we did like haunted halls where we would do like haunted houses in the halls of the school. And so it was like right around Halloween. I remember it was like, it might have actually been Halloween.
He was found on Halloween.
I think it was Halloween. Ironic, okay. Ironic to find a dead body on Halloween. Okay, like Dad, you could have been less, you know, on the nose. But,
he always makes statements, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he had to, you know, from beyond the grave. So it was Halloween. We were celebrating a successful haunted halls, you know. And my mom came to the door, and like her face, I just knew. And I think I went and hid. We had like a coffin that was built, you know, like for the haunted halls. I went to hide like near the coffin or in the coffin. I was like, I'm not dealing with this.
Georgia, are you an only child?
I am, yeah. I am an only child. But my stepsister has been in my life since I was 5,
Okay.
and we never like lived together because like, she lived with her mom, and like would come visit every like, 2 weeks on the weekend, I think was the deal. And but so we grew up together but not in the same house, but we're still very very close. Like I refer to her as my sister all the time, and then people ask me like, oh, how old is she? And I'm like, oh well, she's 4 months younger than I am. And people get very confused, and I'm like, she is my stepsister. It's a complicated situation. We got a mix, we got a blended family. But she's, like she is my sister, so.
And I always said they got along better than Ed and I. They two distinctly different personalities. Georgia was always the drama girl. She would flop on the floor and make, do her hysterics, and Christy would be. Georgia wrote, directed, and starred in her own play when she was 8 years old, and Christy would do the lighting.
What?
What was it, Mr. Turkey's wedding or something like that?
No, we did the whole Christmas thing, or the Jesus and Mary. And
did I really? Man.
I know. I was yeah, you wouldn't have done that now, but
were you guys a religious family?
No.
I went to Catholic school until 4th grade, so it gets ingrained.
And that was a disaster. Never do that with a divorced family. There's judgment galore, and it was not good.
Yeah. Did you always know you wanted to be a mom, Amy?
I just never really thought about it. I knew that once I got married, I'd have a family and all that. And I think I have some mom instincts, but I have a lot of, I always said that her father was a better mom than I was, because I'm very, keep the money coming in, keep the order in the family, make sure the bills are paid, make sure, she's got her education, make sure she's going to the dentist, make sure, that kind of stuff. But he loved to cook, didn't like to clean. That was a big issue. He did not like to clean. And he was very creative, and he loved to read, taught her to read, and he would take her to plays and take her to travel around the world. This child has been around the world, but with her father. I take her out anywhere doing anything. The one time I take her out to go do wetland delineation with me, she finds a whole hive of bees. And what am I doing? Running after her, telling her to take her shirt off.
Yeah, it was what were Yellow Jackets? That's what it was, because they kept singing. Oh my God, that was so my mom. I did all over my body. I step in it. I used to do wetlands delineation with my dad all the time. You used to go out in the field with him. The one time I do it with you,
what is wetlands delineation?
So it's part of when you go out and when there's going to be a construction project, you have to go out and assess the land and figure out, are there endangered species? Are there protected lands? And protected lands include floodplains and wetlands. And so what we would do is delineate those areas that were protected. So wetland delineation is, I would go out, look at the soils, the water, the hydrology, and the plants. And then you figure out whether you can or can't build in this particular location.
Interesting. I bet that made a lot of companies really happy to see you come in.
No. Show up on construction sites, especially when we're doing inspection, and they're like, here she comes.
And you're like, hello.
That's wrong. I didn't put the silt fence in right. I didn't put up
yeah.
a hay bale structure. I didn't, you know.
Yeah, this woman, when we were like driving cross country, you know, would see a silt fence on the side of the road, and like that, not her project, not something she's working on, just see a silt fence in wrong, and like call the city, you know, like call the state, just be like, call the EPA, and just
Call
like
them.
the silt fence is in wrong.
Not call them, but I did say we should.
I distinctly remember you calling at least once.
So wait, with these yellow jackets, did you have to go to the hospital? That sounds pretty intense.
No. It was I was fine, but like it was just scary. You know, like it was one of those things because it's like a swarm. You know, they were swarming around me.
She starts going in the backyard. She starts, you know, it's one of those things where she's running away, and I'm telling her stop running because I'm trying to help her.
But I can't stop running because as soon as I stop running, then they're swarming around me more, you know? So it's just like, I gotta keep going.
Okay, so she gets in this person's backyard, right? And I've got her taking her shirt off. So she's just in her bra, and I've got her shirt, and I'm whacking her. And I'm thinking, if I have a security camera out here right now, I am so going to jail.
Oh my goodness. How old were you?
I was probably like 12, 13, maybe. I was young.
Yeah. But so speaking of bug bites, do you remember? Okay. So we're supposed to have this like nice, lovely trip. I asked Georgia, I am moving out here. I am moving out here in 2017, June of 2017. I'm moving to Taos, New Mexico. So I asked Georgia to come down and do the trip with me so we can share the driving.
Yeah, she was living in Florida at the time. She needed to get Jersey Girl, the dog, from Florida to New Mexico, and she was like, I'd love some help. Yeah. So
there were two mistakes that we made. The first one was I started my dog on a raw food diet right before we took the trip. So the dog had diarrhea, right? And so we're like, oh no, we got to stop the car. We got to get the dog out to go do its thing. Well, so George is on the passenger side, and we barely get out. You know, we're still on I-10 in Florida.
We're not even like a half an hour on this road trip.
Oh my God, yeah. And so she jumps out to let the dog out, and the dog's out, and then Georgia comes screaming back into the car, and she goes, and so I'm like, what about the dog?
Oh wait, you cut out. What
you can hear me? Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Okay, sorry. But she stepped in this ant pile, and I don't know, you know, what to do, because I'm sitting there on the truck and there's a console and everything.
And I'm holding the leash, but I'm trying to brush off ants, and we're on the side of the highway, and I'm like, ah! And they're fire ants, they're red ants, you know? So I just have a bunch of red ant bites on my leg. I'm like, and it
got worse. It got worse. Okay.
Our first night was in New Orleans, you know, and so we get to New Orleans. I've got all these ant bites on my leg, you know, like, and we're looking up what to do, whatever. And
the dog poos in the middle of the Sheraton, like right in the lobby of the Sheraton.
Poos in the lobby. That's a fun story. That's a fun tidbit. But we get there, and I'm like, I'm in New Orleans with a woman who doesn't drink. First of all. So that's fun. She's like, you can get like a booze on the road if you want, you know, like I'm not gonna judge you. So that was my one time in New Orleans, was just like, I'll have one booze and then I'll feel guilty about it. We had a fun night. The next morning I wake up and half my face is swollen.
What?
You know, like my eye is swollen shut, like everything is like puffed on my face. So I'm having a reaction to the fire ant bites.
No.
So for the rest of, like, I was supposed to help drive. For the rest of the trip, I am like taking Benadryl and snoozing.
Well, and then I also needed the dog to sleep, so I had given the dog Benadryl. So I had two very drugged out passengers in my car, and I'm driving along, and
So I was a great help.
We listened to Dune. We listened to Dune, and that's like a 14-hour, 15-hour, audio.
Oh, yeah.
book. Yeah, she was no help whatsoever.
Not a single help.
Oh my God. Did it finally clear up? Like when before you got there, or the whole trip were you just driving alone, Amy?
There's pictures of me in, like Fort Wayne, Texas. We went out to eat and my eye is still swollen. It's like half my face was like puffy for a couple days.
She didn't drive at all. She did not drive at all. I
It was a couple days where I was just popping Benadryl like candy. It was just...
You still I know that you and Tucker go down to the farm. Have you been safe?
From bug bites?
Yes. Yeah. Or does this always happen to you when you go out to the country?
No, so far so good. Usually we have a great
watch out for rattlesnakes. I want to make sure you don't get near a rattlesnake, because sure you'll get bitten by that.
Listen, I am very careful about where I put my feet nowadays.
Yeah. So what's special about your guys' relationship? I know that you're an only child, but is there something that other people wouldn't understand, or something that you guys click on specifically?
I don't know I think our relationship is special. I don't know how to define it. It's just I can talk to her about pretty much anything. You know what I mean? I can talk to I think, I get concerned for my friends who, I think a lot of people grew up with very strict parents. And I think it's much more important to be able to have an open and honest communication, I think that a lot of strict parents think that they're protecting their kids by giving them all these strict rules. And not that I never had rules, obviously, you have to give kids boundaries. But my mom was always honest with me about why. She was always honest with me about her experiences. She was always honest with me about the consequences, always on honesty. I think having an open line of communication and honesty with each other has always been probably our greatest strength. I don't know. Is this an interview? Did we get the job?
Yeah.
And I think, I have to agree with her. Is sometimes I felt as though I was running the risk of having a spoiled brat on my hands. But there were times, oh my gosh, she would say things when she was younger. I would say, don't do this. And then she would give me a reason why she was doing it. And I would say, that's pretty dang smart. So I would listen to her. I don't necessarily agree with everything Georgia says. Right now, our politics are pretty close. She's a little more left than I am. I'm left, but I'm more of a centrist. And so I don't necessarily agree with every little thing she says, but I'm willing to listen. I'm willing, it's her experience, it's her life. Right now, she's an adult. I have to trust that, she knows there may be consequences to things. And the fact that she can call me and say, ugh, this happened, and we can work through it together is really the best thing. She's had some interesting things happen. There was that little sexual assault on her roommate in college that as a mother, I wanted to go in and fix everything. But once she went to college, I could not go into the teacher and say, I want you to change this. I want you to do X, Y, and Z. And she was so brave. She went to that hearing in front of the judge. And I watched her, and she was just very put together. She, and then I watched her when she did her little at the memorial for her father. She stood up there, and she was so self-confident, and she maybe it's the performing in her, maybe it's the actor in her, that she is able to be, comfortable in front of other people and just comfortable with herself. So I love my child. Sometimes it's like Russian roulette, is you don't know what kind of a child you're going to get. But I pretty much lucked out. I did very well.
Mm-hmm. She did think that I was going to be an athlete.
No, I didn't think you were going to be an athlete. I was hoping you would be an athlete.
My dad was too. He taught me how to throw a perfect spiral,
Oh, he thought,
turns out, he thought I was going to be the
first female football
NFL player. He wanted me to be the first female NFL player. Big dreams, not my dreams, big dreams.
Why were you hoping she would be an athlete?
I'm an athlete. I did gymnastics, I did springboard diving, triathlons. I was going to try and be a professional triathlete, and then I got my first job making money. But and then I love to golf. I just love I love horseback riding. I love being outside, and the one thing I think she did pick up is not the athleticism, but the gardening. She likes gardening. Right?
You definitely have a green thumb, Georgia, for sure.
Yeah, although all my seedlings are dying. I put them out way too early this year, and they're all really struggling. They went through the cold. They were like, "Why did you do this to me?"
Well, I always use your grandmother's philosophy of, and her father's mother was an absolute fabulous gardener, and I used her philosophy of, you just have to understand that 30% of your plants are going to die, but it's kind of you need to figure out what works where, and then you just plant something new in that space.
Yeah. Also, apologies for the air blower that somebody's using next door right now.
I can't hear it.
If you can hear it
either.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm just like, oh, that's loud.
Amy, in what ways did your mom influence the way that you parent? Are there ways that?
Ooh, I think I do a lot that's not what she does. So my mom was an alcoholic, and she was very active in her alcoholism as I was growing up. And there were, some traumatic events that, I remember when she was being dragged down the stairs because she overdosed, and she was not a house cleaner. She loved to cook, which I think is good, and she was very passionate about certain things, about helping others and doing work for the inner city. She grew up very poor, and my father grew up very wealthy. So the only reason they were together was because they were both Catholic. And so there was that dichotomy going on constantly in there. But my family did a lot of charitable things, which was good. So I did learn volunteerism from her, and although she was struggling emotionally, I think that's why once I became a single mom, I realized I can't be drinking like this. I need to be able to focus on being there for my child, because my mother wasn't always there. So I kind of what I did was a flop. I flopped to the other side. Is I'm hyper organized and I'm hyper neat. Some people will call me OCD, but I think it's much more important to have order. I don't talk a lot about this with Georgia, but that was probably one of the reasons. Her father was a wonderful person and very creative, very, kind of like my mother. But I just couldn't stand the lack of order, that the lack of cleanliness, so I needed that. And so that's probably why living in the same house didn't work. we got along famously when we weren't living together. Yeah, so as far as what my mom, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No, that's
She kind of scared my daughter. She really did. She scared her because she would burn things all the time.
She tried to drive. It was me and all the cousins actually. She tried to drive on the off ramp once onto the highway.
Yeah.
She was not a great driver.
Yeah.
And I remember when she had her first stroke.
Yeah.
When she had her first stroke, there was like a family debate about taking away her license because she lost vision in one eye. And I was like, when she had two, she almost killed a car full of cousins. So I think it's okay to take her license away.
My vote is take it.
Yeah. I know, I do feel bad. She also like couldn't walk well. She wasn't in great health, you know, by the time like I was older. You know, she could still get around, but she was like, you know, I think her alcoholism had really taken a toll. And I don't know. I was just like very uncomfortable, I think. And I feel guilty about this now. I think I was very uncomfortable with how not well she was.
Yeah.
You know,
and trust factor, I think. And if you can't have trust that she's going to be able to care for you, you know, and when Georgia said, she just scares me. I mean, she burned that Pop-Tart. Remember?
She put a Pop-Tart, you know, you put a Pop-Tart in the toaster oven for 30 seconds.
No, microwave.
Was it microwave?
Yes. 30 seconds in the microwave. She put it in the microwave for like
30 minutes.
30 minutes, yeah.
No.
It was bad. The windows were all open when I got
home. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's me and my fire in me and my mom's relationship too, where I think I learned coolness under pressure from my mother, because she likes to try and set things on fire. I remember one time at a dinner party, she accidentally she was like at the cook, you know, like you know how everyone gathers in the kitchen, and we had like an island in the old house in New Jersey that had a range on top, you know, and so she was cooking something and accidentally flambéed, you know, like accidentally.
Well, no, I was doing a flambé, but it kind of went a little over.
Oh, okay, so that was on purpose. All right, I didn't know, but she flambéed, but it got big. And everyone was clapping, and my mom was going, oh, and just doing this, and like, you know, and I was like, you know, like I think I was like, I don't know, 14, and I was just like, I was very young, and I was just like, you gotta turn it off and put a lid on it.
She did. She went and she grabbed and got the lid and put it down, and there she goes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
There's other. Well, so. Georgia and Christy put together a little song about me.
Yeah, all the embarrassing
moments. Remember it?
Yeah. I think it was fire, back it up, scallops.
Democrat.
Yeah. These all have stories.
That's beautiful.
It was. So they would bring it up. Yeah, I have lots of stories that they can make fun of me on, which is good. I have a sense of humor. All right.
Have you seen Georgia's comedy before? Her stand-up?
I have. And she's cute. You know what? I really
I have seen her comedy, and she looks great up there.
No compliment is like a good.
I'm not into the cursing part, okay? But no, I think she's very talented, very, very talented, and I just love seeing her up there, and I really love her improv too. She's just incredible with the improv. That's probably my favorite. Is, you know, just being able to think on the spot of something kind of funny to do. And I love that.
Have you ever wanted to do it, Amy?
not professional. I don't think I'd get paid for it.
Well, I mean, I didn't get paid for improv either.
On that, but we just have a sense of humor in our family. Sometimes it's kind of a sick sense of humor. Sometimes it's too many puns, and I like making people laugh. I think making people laugh, there's something special about that. And Georgia is very good at making people feel good and happy. And I think that's her talent.
It's gonna make me cry.
Oh,
That's really
you've got makeup on, don't do that.
No, I can't reveal how bad my sunburn really is.
Well, I feel, you guys have been answering this throughout, but what's the most beautiful quality you find about each other? Like your favorite thing about each other?
Oh, my mom is tenacious. She's got this amazing work ethic. She's got so much energy. This woman, like she's, how old? You're 61 now? You have more energy than I do at 29. Like there's so much energy, and she's vivacious, and she's generous, and she's, like she's just a firecracker. That's how I describe her. She's a firecracker. Me and Tucker went to her 60th. 2 years ago, almost now, when she turned 60, and like, you've only lived in New Mexico for what, 4 or 5 years now?
It'll be 4.
Yeah, 4 years. So she rented out an entire like big old ballroom, and like that you would have for like a wedding, and it was filled with all her friends, just absolutely filled with friends and family. And it was just like, you've only lived here for a little, like she's just, you have more friends that showed up for this party than I would have,
Georgia, if you give free food and booze, people will come.
This is true.
This is true. Amy, what's the secret to all that energy?
I had a lot of, I think I'm more like my father than my mother. My father had a lot of, a work ethic, and I just have a passion about a lot of things. But I also, ever since I was a little kid, people would be my family would be inside watching TV, and I would be outside helping my father in the garden. And if I wasn't helping him, I'd be doing gymnastics outside, or I was constantly out helping my father do something. To this day, I love hardware stores, and I love lighting stores, because I would always be doing stuff with my father. And, there's just so many things. I think all the interests I have, I love gardening. I love horseback riding. I like getting my hands in the dirt. I don't mind the physical activity.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. Even when I watch TV, I have to get up and wander around. I'll watch and I always watch the Chicago series, The Fire. The PD is a little too late for me to watch, although I could tape it, but I don't watch a lot of TV, but I keep wondering if I'm going to see Georgia walking down the street in one of these Chicago med, or she might, one of her first acting experiences she had in Chicago was part of a major accident, a triage kind of thing.
It was like training.
Arm.
Yeah, it was like a training for soldiers, like combat training, kind of like disaster. Wow. It was like for combat med people. And I got paid $150 for the day to pretend that I had my arm blown off in an explosion. And like, basically the thing was I had to scream until they tapped me on the head, and that meant they sedated me. And I
wish that had
committed
worked for
committed
me.
to the role. I committed to the role. It was like free food and $150. It was through my college. And so funny because I did that, and then I had a voice class, you know, and in voice class you like lay on the ground and breathe. Mom, just so you know, you helped pay for college so that I could lay on the ground and learn how to breathe. In one of my classes, three levels of learning how to breathe. And so I was running late because it was like in a different part of the city. So I rushed over still in the, you know, like I had like, you know,
Blood.
fake blood coming out my ears. I had like dust and debris on my face. And I was like, I got to get to this voice class. I get there and I'm a little late. Everyone's already laying down with the lights off. I lay down and I start breathing, and my teacher comes over to me and she's like, are you okay? And I was like, oh, it's fake. It's makeup. I was doing a gig.
So I
like, no, but I had to make it on time.
I got hit by a car.
Med. I really think she should be in Chicago Med and have her arm blown off because she's already done that one. She's got yeah.
I'll revive the role.
So Amy, what's one of your favorite qualities about Georgia?
She is the sweetest, kindest person I know. And she has incredible integrity. And as when I said before about the Russian roulette, you can have some kids that can be very selfish, self-centered. You know, I think there's a lot of things that, I mean, she's a self-learner and she's a self-starter and she cares. She has a passion for people and for life and for doing the right thing, you know, and that's what I love is that sometimes you can't teach that. You just have to have it. Yeah. And there are a lot of qualities, again, that she got from her father that I think are really good is that, stop crying.
I can't. That was very sweet.
But the fact that she loves to read, you know, I have a hard time sitting down long enough to read. She is very self-educated, and that will continue throughout life, which I just think is a blessing. And you know, she may not have kids, but I want her to.
Gotta throw that in. Gotta throw in the zinger at the end.
I swear, it's like a mom thing. I'll call my mom and be like, can't really afford lunch. And she's like, are you thinking about kids though?
Oh, okay. On that point, when I got pregnant with Georgia, it was not planned. And I told my mom, I can't afford a baby. And she just looked at me and she said, Amy, even poor people have babies.
It's true. That's true. Well, now that this is stamped in time, and I feel like you guys are pretty open with each other anyway, but what would you guys like each other to know forever?
Uh-oh.
Forever.
She has this on her forever.
I do. Hold on. Let me see. Is it this side? No, it's the other side.
Oh, thank you. So
that's the iris tattoo that I got for my mom.
She went and got her first tattoo, and it was of a daffodil because that was her father's favorite flower. Oh. There we go. Yeah. And so I said, well, what about your mother?
Okay, no, you're telling the story wrong. I called you. And I was like, what was dad's favorite flower? Do you remember? I want to get a tattoo on my rib of my dad's favorite flower. And you said, my favorite flower is the iris. I said, great, that is not the question I asked.
Anyway, I just, you know, of course I want her to know, and I'm going to cry, but I love her very much. And that always to just look at the bright side of life, and look for the silver lining in everything, and take each day as it comes, and don't, future trip. I think we get into that point where we're so worried about what's going to happen that we don't live in the moment. So.
Oh, man. I mean, I want you to know that I love you too. Like, that's something that obviously I want you to know forever. I don't know. I guess I want you to know how much I really appreciate how much you, how hard you worked to find Dad.
Yeah.
And how much that means to me. And I want you to know how incredibly impressed with you I am. It's all the time. So you never fail to surprise me, to amuse me, to aggravate me,
Oh, to get the time zones wrong.
The time zone's wrong. I'm always and forever looking up to you. So that's what I want you to know.
That's wonderful. And Amy, my last question is, what would your Mama Says advice be, if you could give one piece of advice?
I would just say, don't take yourself too seriously. That's it. Just don't take yourself too seriously. We all make mistakes. We all, just learn that life gives us, I hate to say this, lemons, and we need to make lemonade. God, that's so original. Just, and I think that's the thing is just try and stay happy.
That's great. Well,
it's all mindset. It's all a mindset.
Yeah. Whenever I'm going through a rough time, she always says to me, and this too shall end.
This too shall pass.
Shall pass, sorry. And this too shall pass, which is from the Bible, I believe, but it's always
that is what my mama did teach me. She said, this too shall pass.
That's really good advice. I'm grateful to you both for coming on here and being so open and amazing. I'm so glad to meet you, Amy. It makes even more sense why Georgia's so awesome. And I'm grateful to you both. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Well, I hope to meet you someday.
I hope the same. Yeah.
All right.
You will.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you for having us, Amber. This was great. I'm sorry I cried so much.
No. I cry about my mom and with my mom all the time, and that's why I started this. So it makes sense. All right. You guys have a good day. Thank you so much.
Okay.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.
Love you, Georgia.
Love you too, Mama.